in Passant capture was created because the pawn's double advance allowed some pawns to unfairly escape a capture. To prevent this and maintain balance, it was permitted to capture them as if they had only moved one square, thus creating the so-called en passant capture. This rule was introduced when it first became permissible for a pawn to advance 2 squares on its very first move. Before, pawns could only move 1 square, but with the double step, sometimes a pawn would pass by an opponent's without them being able to capture it, which didn't seem fair. Pay close attention, because it might seem complicated at first. If an opponent's pawn advances 2 squares, something it can only do on its very first move, and it ends up positioned directly next to one of yours, then on your very next turn, and only on that specific turn, you have the opportunity to capture it as if it had moved only a single square. En passant capture isn't just a move to remove a pawn. It can also open lines and weaken your opponent's pawn structure. For example, if you capture en passant and your pawn advances to the center, you can gain more space and launch attacks with your major pieces. However, you must calculate carefully. Sometimes it is better to wait and not capture so that you do not weaken your own position. Let's take a look at it once again. If an opponent's pawn advances 2 squares and lands adjacent to one of your pawns, you may capture it immediately on your very next move. You move your pawn to the square directly behind the enemy pawn as if it had only advanced a single square, and then remove it from the board. You might receive some strange looks if you make this move in a game with someone who isn't familiar with it, but it's an important and totally valid rule in chess. Now that you're familiar with the en passant capture and how to effectively utilize it strategically, it is now your opportunity to practice and to learn, and the absolute best way that you can achieve this is by enrolling in the BlackChess Academy. You'll find the link in the description below.